Hey folks, Dave, the not so evil Viking 13 here, and what is this? It's some DayZ here at last. You guys are looking at footage of the new 0.55 stable patch, and today I'm going to just cover a couple of the key new features of this patch, and also talk about one of the most frequently asked questions about my channel, and that's, where did DayZ go? Before I dive into 0.55, let me just address that question first. Don't worry guys, I still really enjoy DayZ, and DayZ is not going anywhere on my channel. However, the episodes that I usually like to create, the longer Survivor Chronicles, require like a good 15 to 20 hours of gameplay to get enough footage for an entire episode. Our group just hasn't been playing as much as we wait for updates to come out, and there have also been a couple of issues like some pretty severe waves of hacking, and a few stable patches that were not stable at all. It's hard to record the game when everyone's crashing every 20 minutes. But enough about that, that answers the overall question. Let me tell you guys why I'm excited about 0.55 and why it's going to be a good year for DayZ. First things first, the DayZ 0.55 stable patch is out, and here's a couple of the key things, the game-changing things that this patch is bringing. First of all, the first iteration of the new zombie AI module. This brings long-awaited stealth gameplay back to DayZ. Now, like in the mod, you can actually sneak through towns and avoid zombie combat. This is a good thing because the overall zombie count across the entire map has been increased from 700 to 1100, even right here in this first iteration. Additionally, while zombies are less glitchy, their attacks are now, I guess, more intense. They don't damage you quite as much, but they come faster, and the zombies can actually push you around as they attack. Melee also isn't quite as effective, taking multiple hits to take zombies down, although they do react more realistically to your hits. They actually have some knockback and stuff like that. Zombies still aren't at a point where you're going to want to sneak everywhere just yet, but zombies are now much more of a threat. Expect to have some ruined clothes and to bandage a lot of bleeding if you insist on being loud or running through towns. It's also nice to see that as long as the server FPS remains somewhat stable, zombies are once again obeying the laws of physics, and you can actually lock them outside of doors. Just peek outside the window before you open it again. They might still be there waiting for you. Along with the new zombie AI system, there have also been a number of improvements to animal AI. The animals now react a lot more realistically, and you might actually have to hunt an animal if you want to cook it and eat it. Hunting, fishing, and other survival elements like that are now more important thanks to the new central loot economy. This is super exciting, guys. If you've played DayZ for any amount of time, you know that there are now food houses, there are gun houses, you know, the buildings that always have a gun in this corner or cans of food on these shelves. Well, not anymore. With the central loot economy, the dev team can control loot spawning based on area of the map and the density of spawned objects, and not just by individual building. This means that houses near military bases might spawn military uniforms in just the normal civilian houses, or even pistols and stuff like that. This is the first iteration of a completely new way of controlling and managing loot in DayZ Standalone. This will give the developers a ton more control, and most exciting for me, this means that the cleanup wipes once per week, where tents and all persistent items got removed from all servers, are no longer needed. No more wipes, persistence is persistent. And of course, if you guys played the mod, you know, the persistent player camps and structures and stuff like that, that was a huge part of the draw of DayZ. To not only explore this world, to fight other players, stalk other players, avoid other players, but to come across the signs of other players, and of course, wherever possible, to rob their tents blind. I've already found one tent city before this change, and I am really looking forward to running across players' camps full of campfires, and tents, and guns, and trucks once again. Huge draw for me. Besides those two core, huge module changes, there have been a number of updates to the BattlEye anti-cheat, including 4,000 players banned in February alone, so good work devs, keep that up for sure. Sprinkle in some more clothing and tool and functionality updates, a few new guns, and you've got a pretty solid update for Q1. Let's also not forget the addition of cholera. You can now catch some pretty nasty stuff from just sitting pond water. Whenever possible, you're going to want to hit your water bottles with some water purification tablets for sure. As you guys can see from the background, I've already spent a couple of hours in this patch just playing by myself, not really recording footage with the gang just yet, but I am really impressed so far. It's going to be more difficult to meet up with friends because the gameplay is slowing down, the loot density is thinner, but the chance of finding random loot has made looting a lot more fun once again. You don't skip houses, and you don't target houses, you just have to search. You also have to get off the coast, so players who insist on just engaging in non-stop PvP are probably going to be rather upset with these changes. With more cars coming down the line, I'm sure that we're going to have more transportation to get across the map as the foot gameplay slows down, and I'm definitely looking forward to that because all items in the game now have a weight tracked, which tells me that a stamina system can't be too far off into the future. And now for the big question on everyone's minds, the renderer. The graphics element of DayZ that currently looks pretty good, but struggles with frame rates so badly. What is happening with the renderer? Well, obviously it's not out in Q1 as planned, but there's good news on the horizon. The initial plan for the DayZ team was to update the renderer to be all DirectX 9, and try and get the visuals on a one-to-one parity, at least, with what DayZ looks like right now. Once they got into it though, in this particular quarter, trying to get a iteration of that new renderer, that new rendering module onto experimental, they realized something. It just wasn't worth all that effort to go with such an outdated DirectX. They've made the call to leave Windows XP officially behind, and the first iteration of the new renderer will be 100% DirectX 11. That is very exciting because it means not only better graphics, but easier tools, an easier development cycle for the developers, and from what I understand, a pretty clear pipeline from DirectX 11 to the much talked about DirectX 12. The very first version of that renderer should give us a significant jump in frame rates as well. The devs have teased a tiny little screenshot of some new particle effects in the new renderer, as well as some of the rendering layers that the DX11 renderer will use. Gameplay-wise, the 0.55 patch brings DayZ even closer to what in the back of my mind is a slightly slower paced, but not frustrating survival game. It's starting to get closer to what I think we're going to see around the time of the actual game launch. I'm having a blast so far in 0.55, and if you guys are too, or if you're really not liking the changes, I want to hear what you think down in the comments. Regardless though, I'm going to remain ever the DayZ optimist. Even if things seem like they're moving slowly, they are moving in what I think is the right direction. I'll leave you guys with this. What is quite possibly one of the most horrific zombie deaths I've ever seen in DayZ. I was trying to sneak past this zombie while recording some footage just to test things out in 0.55. Didn't quite work. The zombie saw me when I reached some open ground right there, and just when I thought I had lost it, which was a good thing because I only had a broom, I ended up in a fight for my life. I got knocked out pretty quickly. What you guys are going to see is I have my legs broken, I'm knocked totally unconscious, and then I awake over and over again over 3 or 4 minutes, just with enough time to see the zombie hitting me and killing me once again before I pass out once again. It's a pretty slow, pretty horrible death. That's it for now, guys. I'll catch you all next time.
Ugh!